Okay, let's talk about one of the most confusing and honestly frustrating experiences when you're trying to conceive. You feel pregnant. Your body is sending you all the signals, but that test, it keeps saying no. We're going to dive in and solve this mystery together.
You know the feeling, right? The nausea, the exhaustion, that tenderness. Every single part of you is screaming, "I'm pregnant." So you take a test, your heart is pounding, you're full of hope, and then you see that single lonely line. It's enough to make you feel like you're losing your mind. But I'm here to tell you, you are not going crazy. There is a real scientific reason for this disconnect, and we're going to break it all down.
So, first things first, let's get to the bottom of these mixed signals. How can your body be saying one thing so clearly while that little plastic test is saying the exact opposite? Well, the answer involves a little bit of a hormonal plot twist. Now, these symptoms, they are absolutely real. This is not just in your head, the breast tenderness, the cramping, the fatigue, the nausea. These are the classic signs that we've all been taught to associate with the very first days of pregnancy. You're definitely feeling them. The real question is, what's actually causing them?
And here's where the story takes a really interesting turn. While those symptoms are very, very real, the cause might not be what you think it is. It turns out there's a kind of hormonal imposture pulling the strings behind the scenes, creating all of this confusion. And it's a hormone you're probably already quite familiar with.
And here it is, the heart of the matter. Meet progesterone. This is the hormone that's responsible for all those symptoms we just listed. See, after you ovulate, your progesterone levels shoot up to get your uterus ready for a potential pregnancy. But here is the massive catch. Progesterone also causes all the classic symptoms of PMS. They aren't just similar, they're identical because the hormonal cause is identical. So trying to figure out if you're pregnant based on these feelings alone in those early days, it's basically impossible.
Okay, so if progesterone is the tricky imposter, who is the real hero of this story? Let's pull back the curtain and unmask the one true messenger of pregnancy, the one that pregnancy tests are actually looking for.
Everybody, meet HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin. This is it. This is the one and only pregnancy hormone. Your body makes it for one reason and one reason only: pregnancy. But the most crucial part here is when it's produced. It doesn't show up at the moment of fertilization. It only starts being produced after a fertilized egg has fully implanted into the wall of your uterus.
And this, right here, is probably the single most important thing to take away from our entire explainer today. Let me say it again. Fertilization is not pregnancy. Implantation is. Fertilization, that happens up in the fallopian tube, that's just step one. The biological state of pregnancy, the state that your body recognizes and responds to, doesn't officially kick off until that little embryo has snuggled into the uterine lining. That event is implantation.
And this brings us to the next piece of the puzzle, and it's a big one: time. The journey from that first step of fertilization to getting a positive pregnancy test isn't instant, not even close. It's a biological process that more than anything requires a whole lot of patience.
Let's just walk through this timeline, shall we? So around day 0, you have ovulation and hopefully fertilization. But then for the next 6 to 12 days, that fertilized egg is on a road trip down the fallopian tube. It's only when it arrives and implants in the uterus, somewhere in that huge 6-day window, that HCG production finally starts. And it starts out tiny, then it doubles roughly every 48 hours. That's why you have to wait until around day 14 or even later for that hormone to build up enough for a home test to even have a chance of detecting it.
So now we can get back to our original question and answer it head-on. Now that we understand the hormones and the timeline, let's lay out the 4 main reasons why a test might give you that frustrating false negative, even if you actually are pregnant.
Okay, the number one culprit, and it's not even close, is simply testing too early. The HCG just hasn't had time to build up to detectable levels. It's that simple. Number 2, you could have had late implantation. If your embryo implanted on day 12, you're not going to get a positive result nearly as early as someone whose embryo implanted on day 6. Then there's the test itself. Some are way more sensitive than others. And finally, every single body's unique and produces HCG at its own slightly different pace.
This little chart really shows why the type of test you use matters so much. In those very first days, as you can see, your body's HCG level is super low. An early result test is designed to pick up on those tiny amounts. A standard test, on the other hand, might need a much higher concentration to give you that second line. So yeah, using the right tool for the job is absolutely key.
Okay, we have officially dissected the problem. We get the science now. So, what do we do about it? Let's shift gears and talk about solutions.
What is the clear step-by-step action plan you can use to get an accurate answer and hopefully bring down some of that stress?
Here you go, a simple 3-step plan. Step 1, and I know this is the hardest part, wait. Seriously, the absolute best time to test is the day after your expected period. If you just can't bring yourself to wait, then at least give it another 48 to 72 hours before you test again. That gives those HCG levels time to double. Second, test smartly. Use one of those high-sensitivity early result tests and use it with your first morning urine because that's when HCG is the most concentrated. And third, if the home tests keep saying no but your gut and your symptoms are telling you otherwise, a blood test from your doctor is the gold standard. It's the most accurate answer you can possibly get.
And please, remember this. It is so incredibly hard to be patient during that 2-week wait. I get it. But try to reframe it in your mind. This isn't just about willpower. It's about biology. You are giving your body the time it needs to produce the actual scientific evidence, that HCG, that the test needs to do its job correctly.
So here's the bottom line. Your body isn't lying to you when you feel all those symptoms. And the test isn't lying either when it shows a negative. They're just speaking two completely different languages on two separate timelines. Your body is talking about progesterone, which happens right after ovulation. The test is listening for HCG, which only shows up later after implantation. Understanding this difference, that's the key. It's not about which one is right or wrong. It's about knowing how to translate what they're both trying to tell you.